what are your thought predictions for the weekend then? Obviously, off the back of a very good win away from home with you this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling confident. 2 wins in a row. And then we've got City on Tuesday, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think Fulham are playing quite well right now. You do have a bit of a tired Crystal Palace. And I think Fulham will have a bit of a point to prove after last season, like the FA Cup loss and the league loss to an extent, but the FA Cup loss was brutal for Fulham. I think we all actually thought that we might win the cup last year, and the 3-0 really hurt. So I think I just have a funny feeling this game will actually mean quite a lot to the Fulham players. Silva loves a grudge, and I reckon he'll have fired them up for this one as a prove a bit of a point, because I think it hurt them as well, that loss. So yeah.
What do you think is a realistic expectation for where Palace and Fulham should finish this season?
Palace's just depends so much on Europe. I think we have a manager who has openly said, after we won the FA Cup, he went, there are 4 titles to go for next season. Let's try and win all of them. And all Palace fans were like, yeah. And then it's got to November and we're like, hang on a minute, can we like rest players at some point? Because even in the League Cup against Liverpool, they played their kid and we played like a full strength team. I think if fatigue didn't exist, I don't see why we couldn't, go top 8 in the Prem based on the strength of the Premier League at the moment and win the Conference League. I think winning the Conference League should be a priority because obviously that's a route into Europe next season as well. But the longer the league goes on and the further up the table we are, we'll have to balance it. But so honestly, the fatigue and the squad depth is the basically only determining factor at the moment. So I'll just go for 12.
After all that, he's got 12.
Well, that's just our spiritual home. 12 win the Conference League. I would take that.
Sammy, what about you?
I would love Fulham to get into the top 10, and I do believe that we could get there. I think our recruitment wasn't amazing in the summer, but I do think that when our first choice 11 is out and we have decent depth on the bench, we haven't got Europe to worry about. But I think in a similar vein, I think for Fulham, the Cups this season will be very, very important. Already into the quarterfinals of the Carabao, and Fulham breaking their trophy curse is of huge importance, particularly to Marco. He mentions it all the time about how important the Cups are, how much we want to win a trophy. Tom Cairney wants to win a trophy in his last season at Fulham. So again, maybe there might be an element of prioritising the Cups towards the end of the season. But yeah, I just said 10th is possible, so might as well back it, manifest it. I think, though, that Fulham getting into Europe via the league is a little bit too far away. I think there's just too many better teams. You've got an improved Man United this year that are going to prevent teams like Fulham and stuff getting necessarily into the top 8. So let's say 10th. That feels reasonable.
Right, guys, welcome back to That's Offside. This week we have got Sammy James and Ollie Thomas with us because it is Fulham versus Crystal Palace. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Now, guys, the big question I'm going to ask you is which team would win? Okay, was it Fulham's 2010 Europa League squad, or was it Crystal Palace's FA Cup winners from last season?
You know what I'm going to say.
I don't know if it's going to be fair and balanced.
I think we'd have to run through the Fulham Europe team because I don't know it off the top of my head.
I mean, there's an element of, I think Crystal Palace's FA Cup winning side, when you've got players you had exceptional top elite players, whereas Fulham's Europa League side didn't have a player that then went on to play well for a top 4 side. It very much was a team that was more than the sum of its parts. It was put together by Roy Hodgson. It was quite a negative team at times.
Sounds like Roy Hodgson to me.
Yeah, that got 0-0 draws away and then won the home games. That was kind of Fulham's blueprint, and it was very much a gold dust season that you couldn't really put your finger on. So, I mean, the team was obviously, it was like Schwartz. You had Hanglin and Hughes at the back. You had Murphy kind of as in the midfield. You had Dempsey out wide. You had Zamora up. Zamora up front. Duff on the left. I'd say they were the kind of Simon Davies on the right. So they were it was quite a journeyman team. So if you were to put them all on a field, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried actually.
I think if you look at the Palace team, the individuals that we have, Gahey, England international, will probably be England starting centre-back at the World Cup next year. Wharton, touted as like £100 million player. Eze moved to Arsenal for 70 million quid. Daniel Munoz was widely regarded as like one of the best right-backs in the league last year. And even like Kamada, Europa League winner with Frankfurt. Like our team you look at the individuals, it's kind of mad that a team like Palace had all of them at the same time. And that was even without Elise and Zaha, who left the 2 previous years before. So I think on an individual level, I agree. And also beating Man City, like that Man City team, granted it didn't have Rodri and it's not the same one as maybe like the past 3 or 4 years, but that team still started De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Doku, Haaland, Marmoush. Like those are elite European players. So I'm going to have to back.
The only one I will say,
we were unstoppable.
the Juventus team we beat that year.
That's true.
Cannavaro, Trezeguet, Del Piero. There were some serious
big names there.
There were some serious names in that Juventus team that we beat, and even the Shakhtar team that we beat. You had a young Willian in there. One of the best ever teams I've ever seen Fulham play, and Fulham managed to beat them. So actually, in a one-off European night.
It'd be close. It would be close. Roy Hodgson Ball as well. I'm very accustomed to it. Also, the team that Fulham lost to in the final was Diego Forlan and Aguero.
Yeah, De Gea in goal.
That's mad. That is mad. It's a mad run. But I'm still going to back Palace.
Yes, guys. Hope you're enjoying the show. And whilst I've got you, make sure to check out our sponsors, Bet442, and their sign-up options on the screen and in the description. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. Okay, so moving on then. With that said, we are going to do a all-time combined 11, okay, between the two clubs. Now, on the board there, it's a 4-3-3. Back in the day, it might have been a 4-4-2. But for today, we're going to go 4-3-3. So it can be anyone who's played for Fulham, anyone who's played for Palace. Doesn't have to be just this season. All-time players. Who is going to be our goalkeeper?
I mean, there's only one choice for Fulham, Edwin van der Sar.
Yeah,
like one of the best goalkeepers. How Fulham had Edwin van der Sar, I still don't really understand. Like before he went to Man United and won the Champions League, like, it's genuinely outrageous. It's only because Juventus signed Buffon that they let van der Sar go, and how he ended up at Craven Cottage for 4 years. Genuinely still haven't managed to wrap my head around that.
I can't argue with that. I had
Here we go.
I had maybe like Dean Henderson. I mean, obviously it was done for Palace is amazing, but he's not Edwin van der Sar. I can admit that. So I'm happy to put van der Sar in goal. Maybe that's the most pedigree of any player that will be in the team in terms of their career.
Oh, potentially. That's a big shout. Big shout. Okay, so we'll move on to left back then. Who are we thinking?
I mean, we had Ashley Cole on loan, but it doesn't really.
Wow.
It doesn't
hang on,
really
VAR.
count. It doesn't really count.
VAR. Do loan players count?
Does 19-year-old?
We're gonna say no. To
Yeah,
that.
I don't think we can have that. Who have we had at left back? I mean, Mitchell's held that place down for so long now. I'm trying to think who else has been in my life that's really stood out. We've had quite a lot of good right backs, but Van Aanholt. Like it's not an embarrassment of riches, really.
I'm going to put in a current player because I think Anthony Robinson's one of the best left backs in the league right now. I think I wouldn't believe my own ears if I was trying to say that Anthony Robinson is Fulham's best left back of kind of like the modern era, but I think he might I think he might
better
just
than
about.
Sessegnon when he used to play left back.
Yeah, I mean Sessegnon's doing a great job this season as well, but no, I think. And I still believe Sessegnon's a winger at heart. Yeah. I'd put in Anthony Robinson. Konchesky was our Europa League left back, but I don't think.
I think Robinson's a good shout. That's someone who's a legitimate argument for being the best left back in the Prem, and we don't have many people. Right back, I'll be going into bat right back.
Okay, we'll do right back now then. So following on from that, we'll do right back. Who's going to be our right back for this squad?
I mean, we've got options. We've got Daniel Munoz right now. I think in terms of attacking, definitely the best one we've had. You've also got Wan-Bissaka, who went to United for 50 million quid from Palace. That season, he was a joke defensively, and he was also good going forward. Even before that, you got a young Nathaniel Klein, just before he went to Southampton on to Liverpool. Like, Klein was a really good right back. People forget that. Joel Ward, I mean, Palace legend, but probably not. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'd probably, if I had to put one forward, it's Munoz or Wan-Bissaka. I'll let you decide, actually, Munoz or Wan-Bissaka. Who do you think is
I
better?
love Munoz. I mean, I apart from I really like Kenny Tete, but I mean Munoz has ripped us open a number of times, and I don't really remember the best of Wan-Bissaka, and I remember too many kind of lowlights. Not when he was at Palace.
Of course.
For Fulham, I think I probably should for the old timers put forward George Cohen, World Cup winning right back for England in '66, but I think it's very hard to compare modern players and players who played in the '60s. So I won't go down Cohen, but I think it would be remiss not to mention. I think I'll put Steve Finnan in there. Won the Champions League with Liverpool.
That's two like polar opposite right backs in terms of.
Oh yeah,
Literally.
Yeah, Steve Finnan never crossed the halfway line. Steve Finnan was very much a defensive right back. I'm not obviously current day. I love Kenny Tete. I did love John Pansel in the Europa League team, but I don't know if I could really put him in an all-time 11. So Steve Finnan would be my Fulham choice.
That's crazy. We live in a world where we're debating Munoz versus Finnan.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Has anyone ever debated
I
that?
don't think that's ever come up on any show or podcast ever. But we're going to do it now. Which one are we choosing?
We've got to go Munoz because this team's going to be good enough to play expansive football. I think.
Depends who the manager is. Depends who the manager is and what they want.
Also, Steve Finnan has a Champions League to his name, but he did get actually substituted at half-time when Liverpool were 3-0 down to AC Milan. Yeah. So, hard one.
Doesn't help your point.
Doesn't help him. So, I'm happy to concede and go for Munoz because I think he's a wonderful player.
Go on then.
Nice.
Okay, so your two centre-backs. Who are we going for? I know one that you're going to stick in straight away.
Yeah, well, I want Mark Gahey in there.
Well, I think I've got the perfect companion to Mark Gahey.
Okay.
A Breda Hangeland.
Yeah, you know what? Also used to play for Palace, Breda Hangeland. One season.
I forgot about
two
that.
seasons, actually. That would be a good little partnership, I think, because it's like big man, little man, except a centre-back, which doesn't normally happen. Let's make it work.
True.
Two ball players. Hangeland was actually quite good on the ball.
Yeah, he was.
He? Yeah.
Like deceptively good on the
Yeah.
ball. Because I think obviously he was very good in the air too, considering he was, like the size of a bus. But I think they partnership well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to put forward Lacroix, but again, playing into three, bit different to playing in two. Joachim Anderson, another one.
We could just settle on Joachim Anderson and shake hands.
Because also Anderson and Gahey's like still my all-time favourite Palace partnership. I loved Anderson at Palace.
His distribution was a joke as well.
I was gutted when he left. And when Spurs played Fulham the other night and I was at the game and watching Anderson do those diags across the pitch, I was like, oh, God. They were the
Got
days.
excited.
Yeah, I'd actually prefer Anderson to Hangeland, but that is also because it's kind of a Palace pick as well.
Yeah, I think I can't be like all-time Fulham team and not have someone like Breda Hangeland there, who was just so instrumental in like some of Fulham's greatest years.
Yeah, I think let's go I'm happy with Hangeland.
Cool,
there.
so we'll lock those two in. Now we're going to go for the midfield three. So think about this. You can do it whatever way you want. You can have a 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so you can have 2 10s, you can have a holding midfielder, whatever you want to do. But we need 3 players to go in that midfield.
Almost feels like you want to go kind of like a modern kind of 3, like almost like a 6, 8, 10. Really, I guess if you're going to have 3 in midfield, if it's not going to be 4-4-2, and you put your left and right wingers kind of in the forward positions. I think from a Fulham perspective, loads of players that you could put in here. Certainly in the kind of 6 position, I think it's a toss-up between Moussa Dembele and João Palhinha.
I'm so glad you mentioned him, because if you do not, if Moussa Dembele doesn't get in this squad, something's gone wrong with every single teammate he's ever had has said he's the best player they've played with.
He is one of the best players I've ever seen.
Ridiculous.
I was gutted when we sold him. No one tackled Moussa Dembele. He just, like, the ball was like glued to his foot. It was mesmeric to watch. Palhinha is wonderful, but I think Palhinha is I don't think he's as much of a baller as like Moussa Dembele was. So if I had to go for one, probably as Fulham's kind of 6 option, I'd probably stick in Dembele.
Yeah, I think for like a true 6, that's probably fair, because I think of the ones over the past few years we had, like Jedinak was great, but he's not getting near this 11. And kind of post that, Milivojevic was good, but legs went towards the end of his time at Palace. And then a lot of the other midfielders who I would put forward are probably, they need someone like Dembele with them, like a Cabaye or an Adam Wharton would probably be the one I'd put forward for Palace. That would be the most like cultured left foot midfield of all time if you had Dembele and Wharton playing together, because that's like Dembele, like more powerful, physical. Wharton and they can both dictate the game as well. But
I still think you could have Wharton in this midfield.
I think that I was going to suggest we have both of them as a little.
Oh, okay.
I really like
one more spot. Are we going to lock those both in?
I think we should lock them both in. I think Wharton will go down as like, yeah, he's an unbeliever. He's not reached his peak yet, and he's already a brilliant midfielder.
Okay, this is interesting because I think I know who you're going to say, Ollie, but we've got one space left. Probably for a more attacking player.
I think I'm going to struggle to beat who Ollie's going to suggest. Who's Ollie's going to suggest here? I mean, I'd probably love like a Dempsey to go here, maybe. Although technically Dempsey could go on the right as well. Maybe Danny Murphy, but Tom Cairney, obviously can play centre mid, but yeah, I feel like this may be one I have to concede.
It's got to be Eze. It has to be Eze. Because he did it like over multiple years. Obviously, last season was instrumental to us winning the FA Cup. Scored a brilliant goal at Fulham in a moment that completely changed that game, and I think made every Palace fan believe we would win the cup was when he did that in a game that was really close. Obviously, so good to watch. Now playing for the best team in the country, England international. It's got to be Eze. I'm going to bat hard for Eze and the wingers, I think. So.
Oh, okay. So we'll start with that then. We'll go with the left winger to start with. Who would you like?
Wilfried Zaha is who I would like.
Okay.
Our GOAT. Palace's GOAT.
Okay, I would probably say Damien Duff or Louis Bowen-Morte on
we're bringing names out now. Classics.
On the left. Yeah, I mean, Bo is my favourite ever player. Just not necessarily because he was the best player that we've ever had, but just genuinely like one of my icons from growing up. Like if I had a little boy, I would love to name them Louis. Genuinely, like he's that, and then came back and was like our assistant manager for some like glory years under Marco as well. So yeah, I'll just go Louis Bo purely on actually just emotion,
feeling.
But like it is Zaha. It's tough.
Zaha is so underrated. I think a lot of people don't realise that even with the FA Cup success we had last year, Zaha is still our greatest ever player to most people, even though Eze is, you could argue, better in some ways and scored more important goals. But like none of that happens without Zaha. He walked so Eze, Elise, everyone else could run. So it's got to be Zaha.
Are we going to go for Zaha? Are you conceding it?
Yeah, I'll concede that.
You conceded it. Okay, so speaking about players like Elise and stuff, we're going to go over to the right-hand side. Who's going to be our right winger or right forward?
Again, I think Dempsey could play this position, and he did play on the right a lot for Fulham. Steed Malbronk.
Wayne Routledge? Wayne Routledge
as well. Wayne is legend. He let us down, but did play for Palace as well.
Again, like I loved Steed Malbronk back in the day. Simon Davies was the right winger in the Europa League team. He was very good, but I think would struggle to get into this. I'll go for Steed, but again, this might be Palace are famous for their wingers.
Yeah, we've
Steed Malbronk versus
Michael Elise. I mean, also I'll give a shout out to Balassi, who I didn't call out on either side. But I mean, I think while Zaha is our greatest ever player, I think Elise, is our best ever player. I think in terms of like the level that I saw Elise playing at his last season was like nothing I've ever seen at Palace before, and he's obviously gone on to do really good things at Bayern. Last season I think he got like 40 goals and assists.
I think it was a shock when he went to Bayern as well, and he's proved a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think Palace fans were convinced he would go on to do massive things, and in terms of just pure ability, he's incredible. He's a world-class winger right now, and I would argue he was also world-class at Palace. I think his last season was hampered by injuries, but I think he still hit double figures Prem goals, and his like goals and assists per 90 was the same as Haaland and Palmer in 23-24, and that's like playing for Roy Hodgson's Palace, which is pretty mental.
This is the one where I would actually I could maybe make some arguments against Zaha because Zaha never actually went and did it properly at the top level. But like Elise's gonna win it all.
Yeah,
like he probably will play in World Cup finals. He will play in Champions League finals, and like he is incredible. So yeah, I think if you look, he's a world class player that like has to go in this. And as much as I love Steed Malbronk, like
reliable,
doesn't hit the same.
Not sure he was ever quite at the absolute pinnacle of football.
The Bayern level. Yeah. Okay, so our two wingers are locked in. One more position to go. Who is going to be our forward?
See, I think we've got embarrassment of riches here.
I think Fulham have some good options here. I think.
My favourite ever, well, apart from Louis Bowen-Morte, Alexander Mitrovic has to be mentioned. 43 goals in a single season in the Championship is just something that will never ever be done again. And proved that he could do it in the Prem. Sold out a little bit before his time, and wasting away in Qatar, sadly. But the other one is Louis Saha. Could you imagine Louis Saha Saha and Zaha just feels like it needs to happen just purely from the rhyming.
Commentator's nightmare, that front three.
I'm going to say it. I'm sure he played for you. Didn't you have Berbatov?
We did have Berbatov.
But not prime.
Not
Berbatov.
prime Berbatov.
I mean, like
he was-
we saw we saw a little bit of prime Berbatov for like maybe a game or two, but I think the way he exited and stuff was all left us in quite like he jumped ship when we were going down halfway through the season, which left a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. So yeah, Berbatov on his, but I think you got to rank it on what they were like
At your club.
at Fulham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get Ashley Cole at left back.
Yeah, true. Very fair.
True.
I mean, I think Palace there are two ones that stand out. Obviously, Mateta is one who has hit 15 and 16 Prem goals in 2 consecutive seasons now, I think, and has been really good for Palace, having been really bad at the start of his Palace career. He's come on leaps and bounds. I think another one is Andy Johnson, also played for Fulham.
Yeah.
He hit 21 Prem goals in a season we went down. There were a lot of penalties, but he did win most of those penalties, so it kind of balances out. But I think when I think of Louis Saha, that's real star power up front. I'm happy to have
I think
Louis
Saha as well could have achieved so much more if it wasn't for the injuries. When he joined United in 2004, he obviously we saw glimpses of Saha, but he probably should have been remembered with some of the great United teams, and it was just literally injuries that let him down. He had so much potential. And yeah, as much I think Mitrovic is my favourite attacker, but if you're trying to put together an 11, I think Saha is pretty sick.
Yeah, that front four of Elise, Eze, Zaha and Saha. That's killer.
Yeah, that's a killer for the commentator.
Scary. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But we're going to put it in. Okay, so there you go, guys. There is our all-time Fulham versus Palace 11. You happy with that?
I think so. Yeah, I think I am happy with that.
I feel like the front six is generational. I'm a little bit worried about the defence in hindsight. I feel like the defence isn't quite living up to the levels, but it is Fulham versus Palace after all.
We've got Edwin van der Sar in goal, so he can do a lot of heavy lifting.
So there you go, guys. That is this week's all-time starting 11 between Fulham and Crystal Palace. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Bet442. To check out their sign-up options, there's a link in the description and there's a QR code on the screen.